Hey guys, I'm Dr. B.J.Hardick. Let's talk about nightshades. So for some of you, you don't know what a nightshade is. For some of you, you may have heard that nightshades would be a class of otherwise healthy food that have really gotten a bad rap in the last couple years for producing inflammation. What are nightshades? Well, first of all, this is a category of foods that grow in the shade and they flower at night. Therefore, they're called nightshades. We're talking about potatoes, tomatoes, bell peppers, tomatillos, and eggplants. There are other species as well that do fall under the category of nightshades. There's many herbs as well, but those are the main ones. Those are the main offenders that people are typically watching out for. I mean, I love red peppers. I probably eat at least 2 full raw red peppers every single day, and I do that every day of my life. I love red peppers. So when I heard that nightshades were potentially inflammatory, I wanted to do a little bit of research into this. So the research and all the scientific backing is on my website, drhardick.com. Check that out. But I want to summarize this for you. There's 3 basic concerns about why nightshades could potentially create a problem for people. The first concern is that they do contain calcitrol, which could cause an excess buildup of calcium, not only in bone, but actually in muscle. This is what has been shown in some of the animal feeding studies. Now, so far, we do not see that the extra calcitrol in nightshades causes any excess deposits of calcium in muscle in humans, but it is certainly something that could be studied further on. We just don't have enough conclusive evidence yet to know that there's muscle calcification, just because we've seen it in some animal studies. An animal study does not always lend itself to results in real human studies. The next thing is this, though. Nightshades do contain oxalic acid. The concern with oxalic acid is that it may actually interfere with the uptake of calcium, and actually on the flip side of that, cause osteoporosis. Well, what's interesting there is that certain green leafy vegetables that are known to actually prevent osteoporosis actually have a lot more oxalic acid than many of the nightshades. You know, broccoli, spinach, kale, they would have more oxalic acid than, you know, the red bell peppers and tomatoes and eggplants. So that has yet to be shown to be an issue. The real potential issue comes when it comes down to number 3, which is alkaloids. You know, alkaloids, this would be the poisonous part of the plant that is in some of the leaves and in some of the stems of the vegetables. Think of them as natural protection for that matter, and there are more of them when the vegetable is not yet ripened. Really, it's a survival mechanism. The reality is we have seen that when people who have some irritability in their gut, if they have leaky gut or irritable bowel syndrome, something like this, when they do consume alkaloids, there can be some additional inflammation. So what do? Obviously, it doesn't mean you need to avoid all nightshades. In fact, so far we've only seen that someone who is predisposed to some gut inflammation may have some additional concern with nightshades. However, we know this. One of the best ways to actually identify would be to actually go on a nightshade-free diet for a number of weeks, a couple weeks, and start to reintroduce those one at a time and see how you feel. See if you have any noted difference in terms of your inflammation, your gut, your health, and all the associated factors. It is certainly something more to consider if you know you already have digestive issues. However, ultimately, I'd say get to the root cause of those gut issues, because certainly we don't want to be missing out on all the benefits of all the nutrients and antioxidants that come in these incredible vegetables, particularly things like peppers and tomatoes and eggplants. You know, potatoes are a little bit up for grabs. You know, certainly I'm not a big potato fan, but they do contain great nutrients that people need to get. So certainly get to the root cause of the problem. But if you do identify that you have difficulty with nightshades, there's a couple things you can do. Do understand the riper the food, the fewer alkaloids are going to be there that could potentially bother you and create more inflammation. Certainly when you cook these vegetables, so for instance, even a slightly boiled or grilled red pepper, although I would rather see people consuming them raw, they're going to have less of an impact on you because there's going to be more alkaloids that would be killed off. And even something like with potatoes, certainly when we skin these and peel the potatoes, you're going to have fewer alkaloids in your potato than if you had the peel. So those are some quick tips you can follow. Again, that's the category of foods called nightshades. That's one of the ways you can get around some of the potential issues. But again, don't villainize an entire classification of foods. Make sure it's very much individualized for you and for your own needs, and see how you do above all. You know, Dr. Cordain out of Colorado, he really wanted to research and see, you know, what were people designed to eat before civilization? before modernization of foods, never mind just boxed foods, but just even the way we started to modernize the food system. Trying to get grains out of there. Yeah. So the paleo community, the maximized living community, a lot of people into CrossFit, they don't want grains at all. But
like
then
no grains.
They don't want grains at all. So grains are very inflammatory. They do convert to sugar even if they're whole wheat grains.